Welcome to Simply Caroline, a podcast dedicated to women empowerment where we will discuss a bunch of different subjects such as life, parenting, love, business, money, relationships, healing, recovery, addiction, entrepreneurship, and so much more. A podcast I'll do my best to keep simple, fun, and relatable and bring you tools to help you better your life. So thank you for being here. And here's your host, myself, Caroline Blanchard. Hello, everyone, and welcome back. Thank you for being again with us today. We are continuing our Powerful Women series, and I have, such a powerful one today, a very powerful woman in network marketing, but in life in general, Lital Mintz. Hi, how are you?
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure. So for those of you who haven't seen the book yet that Lital is part of, it's called 22 Powerful Women in Network Marketing Reveal Their Key to Success. The launch was amazing. All of the authors, almost all of the authors were on, and we got to know them a bit better. If you want to get to know them even a bit more, you can go on my website and you have their information there and all of their bio. But today we're going to talk about Lital because she is a very special woman and I want you to get to know her. So Lital, first of all, why did you join the book?
I feel like for me, I joined the book because of my bigger mission of, again, empowering and inspiring other women to just really go for it. I feel like a lot of women, especially like mothers, they always put themselves last. Do you know what I mean? And I feel like it's time, like maybe that's the stories that we grew up with, but today it's time to put you first. Like whether, we're all mothers, some of us are, have partners, where we all live very hectic lives. Like I've never met anyone that isn't necessarily busy. So just putting yourself, first. It's not selfish, in my opinion. It's something that is so, so important for us. So that's kind of why I decided. And you, I loved your energy. I totally aligned with you, and all the rest of the authors. They're just absolutely beautiful people inside and out.
Well, thank you, and thank you for the compliment. And you know what? I love your mission. Because you are right. I think we're exiting the old mentality of we have to be the superwoman who thinks about everyone else but themselves. I was raised that if you do something for yourself, it's selfish. And I'm still battling that sometimes in my mind because it was so ingrained in me. So I love that we see more and more of that it is not selfish. It's self-care and we all need it. I told that story before, but I remember the first time I flew with my son. He was 9 months old and I was 24. And the flight attendant said, well, she was explaining everything. And she's like, and if there's an emergency, put the oxygen mask on yourself first and then on your baby. And I was just like, oh my God, she's so cold-hearted. Like, I'm not going to let my baby die. He's getting the mask first. But that's just logical. Like, if I would have done that, let's say there is an emergency, and if I'm not alive, who's going to take care of him? So, and I don't know why I went sidetracked here, but it's just, I think that in life in general, we've been ingrained this mentality of like, give all you have. So give us a bit of because for people who don't know, follow Lital on Instagram. She is so inspiring, entertaining, and, beautiful tips in there that she gives. But give us your main tips on how it came. First of all, you came to do that. And second, how do you maintain doing that?
You mean doing social media?
No, sorry. Okay. Putting yourself first, like an empowering
putting myself
mom
first.
to do it.
Well, I think the first step came with actually saying yes to something that scared the crap out of me. I've always been someone who isn't really a risk taker. I kind of like to stay in my, my little comfortable zone that's like right here in my circle. So I believe the first time I put myself first was back in 2009, when I decided that, you know what, I have nothing to lose. I'm going to try this out. And I said yes to network marketing. So that was the first. And then slowly, I started to grow myself in order to grow my business. And growing myself was something that I didn't grow up with, not because my parents are freaking incredible, but I just think that in that generation, nobody worked on themselves, or it was just considered very strange. So I decided to take a lot of like personal development courses and just really, really dig deep. And that's really when I felt so inspired and so empowered to, help others. So yeah, it started, I would say, in 2009, and slowly it just continued. I feel like also the more you put yourself out there and step outside of your comfort zone, the more confidence you gain, and the more confidence your posture changes, and that's the way you walk into a room. You walk, knowing your worth, and kind of that has taken effect over the years.
Awesome. And before going into tips on how to do that, let's close this buckle because it's a big one. You joined network marketing and it was not a small feat. What were you doing before? And when you say you stepped out of your comfort zone, it's so easy to say, but it's so hard to do. And it's really like that 20 seconds of courage. But what pushed you really to say, okay, I'm doing this?
I think number one was I wanted more. To be like, if I'm being completely honest, I wasn't happy in my so I was a travel agent. I did corporate travel for 10 years. And in that field, there was no growth within the company itself. So I just felt like it was a little bit of a toxic environment, when like you're working in a small office. And at that point in my life, I had 3 kids under the age of 5 when Arbonne came into my life. So, and I was working full time. So for me, it was more, my comfort zone. I was always very shy, very quiet. I am an introvert. So I had to really, really like dig deep and do a lot of the things that maybe won't scare an extrovert, but scare me so much. But I figured out, over time that I would need to lean into fear, because I realized that every time I did lean into fear, over time, maybe not in the beginning, because we all sucked in the beginning, but over time, I felt like I just gained a little bit more confidence and a little bit more confidence. You know what I mean? And at that point, I just, there comes a point in at least in my, in my business, a few years in, where I just knew like anything is possible. Like it just allows you to dream bigger. Right.
Yes.
So,
and that's one of the things that I love about network marketing, because me too, I was in corporate for 20 years before, and they made me take a lot of seminars, classes on how to, polish my sales technique, my negotiation technique. Like I took so many, be a better leader, but it was never about me. It was never about be a better person. That was like so side. And in network marketing, it's all of the opposite. If you grow yourself, then you can help others grow, and then you can grow your business. And I heard that, at first, and I'm going to let you explain your perspective on that. Someone told me your business will never grow bigger than you. Like at first, when I was kind of dabbling in personal development, explain that a little bit. Why?
Yeah, I feel like, in the beginning, when, at least in my position, when I first started my business, it was all about me. Do you know what I mean? It was all about, okay, I want to make more money. I wanted to, like, it was just like putting me first. And as I started to work on myself, what I realized is that I need to become a really, really good paid problem solver. Do you know what I mean? And stop making it about me. Right. And that's when it was like, it has nothing to do with me. It has to do with serving other people, the lifestyle that I have today. I want other people to be able to have this lifestyle that I created, right? So it starts like your whole, I would say, was a major mindset shift for me. Because as soon as that happened and that came with personal development, that's when my business started to explode.
And you are at the very top of your company. Let's mention that.
Yes.
So you know what you're talking about when you say it exploded. It's because also like you've reached the top, and it's not that easy to reach the top. It's like I think 3% of the company is at the top, or 5. But
yeah, I think something like that. But yeah, but you know what? I always say to people, like, you don't want the title to define you. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, you're, yeah, at the top. Like, nobody cares. You know what I mean? Like, the truth is, nobody cares where you are. I feel like it all comes down to like how much effort you have put into growing you, right? And developing yourself, and that will show in all areas of your life.
yes, no, I was mentioning the top because you know you can't get there without doing what you just said.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Developing yourself and growing. And
yeah.
I find like by now I've met quite a few top leaders of a lot of different companies. And this is a common thread. Yes. Personal development, growing themselves, establishing a good mindset. Which and let's go there a bit, because mindset, you know, it is not only for people in network marketing, it's for people in general. And sometimes I'll talk to, you know, people that are really not in that circle, and I'll just be like, well, set your mindset and be intentional. And they look at me like if I'm an alien. You know, I have to remind myself that it's not in our common upbringing to say these things, and it should be. But talk about like the importance of the mindset, and how do you set your mindset?
Yeah, I feel like the entire business of network marketing is in here. Like, it's crazy. I know it sounds insane, but it's all here. And, you know, I was never someone who had, you know, positive mindset. And I don't believe you need to be positive, you know, have a positive mindset 24/7, because that is a little strange. Okay. We all have our ups and downs. Let's be real. But I feel like I found a way to really see the positive in every situation. And even when I have, you know, if I have any leaders coming to me, you know, working through whatever issues that we have, you know, that they have, I always really try to focus on like, okay, how can we turn this around and learn from this experience? Because I feel like every, you know, objection, every downfall, every fail, everything like roadblock is just another lesson to learn from and get better and better. So, I mean, I am a big believer of moving your body every single day, no matter what. I feel like for a lot of people, you know, sometimes they'll say, okay, you know, I work out to lose weight, or I work out only for mindset and mental health. Like, that is my goal. And, you know, whether even when I was working full time, I remember I used to set up like 15 minutes at home to do a quick workout. Like, you don't need to go to a gym. You don't need to go anywhere fancy. You can even go for a walk. But moving your body, I feel like shifts your entire day. So that's number one. And of course, you know, practicing gratitude, right? I find myself sometimes, you know, sitting there while I'm driving, you know, looking at the beautiful colors of, I have like a big tree out here, of, you know, the trees, the fall colors, and just being so grateful, because it is a privilege. It's a privilege that we get to work out. It's a privilege that we get to get up every day. It's a privilege that we can drive. You know what I mean? It's just life itself is such a privilege. So that is something that I've instilled within me, and of course my family and my team as well.
So workout and gratitude. And you know what? I can hear people who are probably like working their 40 to 60 hours a week say, well, it's easy because she has time, but I don't have time. But I will answer all of these people, then get up 15 minutes earlier and do it.
Just 15 minutes. You don't need an hour. You don't need 15 minutes earlier just to move your body at home.
And I noticed, like me, it's, you know, it started because I was walking my dogs. And if I skip a day, they're worse than hyper kids on sugar. so I can't skip a day. But
Yes.
I realize now that it's me that needs my walk. It's almost like the dogs are walking me.
Yes.
Because if I skip a day, like if it's super rainy or whatever, and I skip a day, it's really, I feel it in my mood. And,
Mm.
imagine if you times that by 6, because 6 days a week you do nothing, then
Yes.
you're just going down slowly.
Absolutely.
So yeah, moving your body is so important. Gratitude. How do you? Okay, you said you were like when you're driving, you do your gratitude, but
Yeah,
do you
I
have like
don't.
a routine that you say?
You know what? I don't. I feel like I live in a gratitude attitude for the last, more than 5 years now, to if I'm being, real with you. And I'm just like every day, I'm just so thankful. I've also gone through a lot, and I'm sure a lot of people have gone through a lot, especially maybe in the last 2 years. And it just made me appreciate life like so much more. I'm not going to go obviously into detail, but it was just a very difficult 2 years. And yeah, it opened up my eyes. It definitely opened up my eyes. So I feel like I live in just a gratitude attitude type of person. And I always try to, not I try, my husband laughs at me because he's like, you always see the best in people. And I do. I always make sure, whether, someone does something maybe not so nice, I'll always like find one thing that is just nice about that person. And that's kind of like my little, lesson that I learned back in the day that I try to practice today.
And that takes maturity because
Yeah.
they can tell you something really mean, and you're like, oh, but
Mm.
she has a nice voice.
Yeah.
you know
There's always something you can find.
Yes. And what would you say to someone right now listening that, their life is not going the way they want at all? And they're like, well, gratitude is nice when you have a nice life, but how can I be grateful right now?
Yeah, for me, it was really focusing on the little things, like the things that we take for granted. I think sometimes we come to a place where, we feel like, oh my God, everything is going perfect and it's great. And then all of a sudden, maybe there's like a health issue or, health issue with a family member and so forth. So just really, I don't know, I just came to a conclusion where I just appreciate life so much. And I feel like, yes, money is great. Don't get me wrong. Cause like what does Rita Davenport say? It's like oxygen. What did she, right? She has like a saying,
Yes.
right? But I feel like just being content and finding happy within you is like, and obviously health is number one, is like the way that I want to continue to live my life, right? Because it's not going to be perfect all the time. And I think also that all the personal development that I have done and have gone through in the last 13 years has led me to obviously the person I am today. And I think that's the biggest kept secret about network marketing is that I have not seen one person. I actually have not met one person who's in, business today, network marketing that I knew that hasn't become a better version of themselves over time. So I think that's a beautiful gift that nobody really, like, the money is great. Don't get me wrong. Like, that's awesome. But becoming and meeting like the real you for the first time, that's in my, yeah, that's, I think for me, that was the best gift that Arbonne gave me, because I would not be where I am mentally today. You know what I mean? If it wasn't for this business.
No, and I mean, mentally is so important because
Yeah.
when you said earlier, you feel like most of that business is in our head. It's true that everything that we have to battle and fix and adjust is really in our head. It's like our
Yeah.
thoughts, our limiting beliefs, and everything. And we're talking about network marketing here, but it's really in life in general.
In
It's just
life.
because this industry, it's incorporated in it. We will suggest
Absolutely.
books to read or whatever. But it's really part of everything. Like for me, it helped every single area of my life, not just the business wise. So I hope I'm not putting you on the spot here because I didn't ask you that before, but what's the one book that you would say that you would suggest to everyone to read?
Okay, so the first book I read is called The Slight Edge.
You too? Me
Yeah.
too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, that book, I think just everyone needs to read that. But can we just say, like, this is the other book that everyone needs?
Yeah.
Everybody needs this book. If you're network marketing or honestly, life in general, any business, females, males need to get their hands on this book.
So
I'm telling you,
22
this is
Powerful
so
Women.
much. Yes.
That's the book she's
This
showing.
has so much valuable lessons and information. Like this is what I'm going to be giving my team. This is their gifts.
It's funny because my mind was not even going there until you showed the book. I'm like, oh yeah, our book, of course. But you know what? I love that you said The Slight Edge, because it's funny. It's someone in Arbonne 11 years ago that told me to read that book. And I ended up joining the company of the author because for me, but that book for me gave me a new philosophy of life. So I had just stopped drinking. I was going through recovery. So it had nothing to do with business. And following that book gave me so much power, because I felt like I regained the power of like owning my own life and controlling it the way I want it. When you really start understanding that you are in charge of your life. Because quite often we think, oh, well, this is happening to me and this is happening to me, and we're a victim of our lives. And I think that this book is really showing you no. No. So I'm glad that you said that. And I recommend that book like so often. I absolutely love it. The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson. Go get it. And sorry, I just got a blank here. I was thinking about Jeff and I'm like, ooh. So what's your let's go back to your mission of empowering moms, because I know this is a huge part now of what you're doing. So what's your goal in that, and how can I say that? What's your biggest tips?
So I feel like, since I turned 40, so,
you still don't look 40, that.
Thank you so much. But, I really tend to, my intention is really to talk to women who are over 40, who are at the position in their life where maybe their kids are now a little bit older, or, they've taken care of their kids and now they're kind of like, okay, but what about me? Like, what about their turn? So really trying to inspire that group of people who I feel like have so much to give. They're already giving, like I mentioned, they're giving to their families, they're giving to their kids, but they have so much to give to themselves. And I know that they're in a place where they're looking for more, but they just don't know where to find it, how to look for it. So I'm not necessarily, my intention is not, okay, you're looking for more, join my business. That's not, it's almost like open your eyes and like go do something that you're passionate about, go say yes to something you've been saying no for so many years. So that's really my passion, and just letting them know that there's more choice in life. Because I feel like, for me, I didn't know that I had a choice of, starting a business for $59, you know what I mean? Like on the side with Arbonne, right? I just thought that, I grew up like in a household where you go to school, you get a job, and then you retire at whatever, 60 plus or whatever, 70 plus. So I didn't know that there were more choices. And I feel like if I didn't know, there must be other people out there that don't know themselves. So that's kind of my mission, right? To just inspire and empower women to just like go for it and not be scared to like, step outside, like step onto the skinny branch and try something that, they would have never tried otherwise.
Yeah, and that can be anything. It doesn't have to be business. It could be like, I keep saying, when I look at the beautiful skies and sky colors and the colors of fall, I'm always like, I wish I was a painter. I could paint that. And then the other day I said it again to myself and I'm like, well, just go take a class and stop saying it to me, you know? But to get back to what you were saying, you brought me back to 11 years ago when someone approached me with network marketing for the first time. And I had started businesses in the past for other people, but I had a very entrepreneurial mind and I wasn't scared to try something new. But I was always doing it for others. I had never done it for myself. And I remember that when I was approached, it seemed such like a big thing to take on. And I was like, oh my gosh, like there's no way that I can start my own.
It's so funny, right?
Yeah. And so let's talk a bit about that because most people that are not in the business, that's what they see. They see like, you know, you will have to be the CEO of 400 employees and open your building and you know it's not that at all. It's so much simpler and people do it for different reasons. You can want $100 more a month, you can want your products for free, or you may want to really build a new career. But let's talk about that fear about that it's not justified.
It's crazy because most people say no just because of fear of the unknown, you know, like fear of what, you know, not knowing because, you know, this is not necessarily like a brick and mortar business, right? It's something different that people don't really know. And especially now with social media and online. I legit had that. Like when I was gonna say yes and say no, and I was going back and forth 13 years ago, like I felt like I was investing like millions of dollars to start my Arbonne business. So I mean, today I always say to people when I have, you know, when I talk to somebody, I always say, you know, what do you have to lose? Like, what is the worst case scenario? Like, let's talk about it. What's the worst case scenario? Because, you know, $59 in Canada to start your own Arbonne business, that's probably cheaper than going out for dinner. Do you know what I mean? So what is it? And a lot of times it's people are really scared to bet on themselves because you know what I mean? Like that's what it comes down to. They're not, even if it was $10 to start, even if it was free, do you know what I mean? It's betting on you. And when you don't believe in you, right? And you have, like you mentioned, all those limiting beliefs, then even free you'll be too scared to start, you know, something new. So I always say to people, you know what, if you're happy with whatever it is that you're doing and, you know, you don't want anything extra, you don't want community, then continue doing it. But a lot of the times the people that come to me are people that are ready for change, and change is only going to happen if you create the change. And the first step is taking the step, right? So I always, looking back, it's funny to me now because I realized that it had nothing to do with the 59. Like it had nothing to do with the money. It was just that I just did not believe in me.
Yeah. And I love that.
It's sad how many people, you know, don't believe in themselves and will pass amazing opportunities. I'm not saying just Arbonne, in general, amazing opportunities that are right in front of their face because of lack of belief.
Yeah. And you're absolutely right. It's betting on ourselves, being scared to fail. And you're like, well, if it doesn't work, what will people say? Who cares what people say? Like, what if it works? You know,
people are so busy today. They have no time to talk about whether or not someone is failing. Like, let's be real. Yeah, everyone has their own problems.
An older lady one time told me something. I complained about something and she said, sweetie, you're not that important. And I was just like, okay. Yeah. Okay. It was a bit of a slap in the face, but she was right. It's like, I'm not that important. So people don't spend that much time thinking about me. Yeah. So, but I want to get back on one thing too, is, you know, when we bet on ourselves, we also, and I think that this is a fear that I used to have, we also kind of start dreaming again. And as a mother, often I'll talk for me. That's what I lost when I had my kids, because I started dreaming for them. I had tons of dreams and I could see a really positive glory, future, but it was for them. It was what they would become. It was, their sports where I would take them, everything. But me, myself, and I, like when I really stopped and said, what are my dreams? Besides saying I want to be rich, because this is such an easy one. And I said, since I'm little, but rich is what? Is it $100,000? Is it 4 million? Even that, when you don't have a real amount to put on that to exactly say what you would do with it, it's just, something. But I realized I had no dreams. I had no personal bucket list. And that's where a lot of us end up going and I think it's linked a bit to what you said, because then our kids turn 20 and then they're like, well, wait a second. They turn 14 and they're like, I don't need you anymore. And you're like, okay, so what now?
Yeah.
So if you don't have that bucket list, or if you don't have your dreams, you turn to not much.
I know. And that's why it is important to put you first. that takes us right back.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because again, the kids are gonna leave, things are gonna happen, shit's gonna go down, but you need to put yourself first and not forget about what it is that you want, what makes you happy. Right? And like you said, self-care.
Awesome. Well, Lital, I love you, and you're an amazing person. You
so
glow success and power, and you guys have to meet her because she does it very humbly as well. But it's just, the type of person you meet and you're like, I want to be your best friend. Well, follow Lital on social media, because you will have your best friend that you can watch whenever you want, basically. But Lital, if you would leave, the listeners with one last thing, what would it be?
I would say it's time that you become your unpredictable self. So whatever is predictable, like for me, it was predictable for me to say no to things that scare me. Like as soon as something new, I'd be like, nope, not interested. That was kind of how I lived my life. It's time you become your unpredictable self and do something that scares you, because fear is automatically associated with something bad. You know what I mean? Like people think of fear and they're like scared. But what if we look at fear as something positive, like something new, something different, something exciting? Right? So that would be my biggest tip, is just find that one thing and just, work on becoming your unpredictable self, and that will create change for you.
I love that. So yes, and write us your comments, and what was your unpredictable thing that you did.
Saying, yeah. Oh, okay. You're saying
no. I'm
telling them to do that. Okay.
Well, I could ask you. Let's go. Yeah.
Well, no. Mine I already shared. My unpredictable self. It was saying yes. That was so outside of my comfort zone. That was something never. That was just not me. It was just not something I would ever do. So
was it easy?
No.
Was it worth it?
100%.
There you go.
100%.
There you go. Quite often what's not easy to will be very worth it in the end. Jeff Olson says that always, if it was easy, it wouldn't be an opportunity. And
absolutely,
it is what it is. If you want to have something more or something different, you need to do something more or something different. So I will put all of Lital's information with the podcast, but what's your Instagram handle?
It's Lital Mintz. So LitalMintz.
Follow her. You won't be disappointed. Lital, it was such a pleasure to have you here. And it's such an honor to have you in the book. You guys, you have to read her chapter, especially for introverts and shy people. She didn't reveal, I would say, 5% of what she put in there. It's very well written, and there's a lot of information, tips in there. So read her chapter, whether you're in network marketing or not, because these are all tips that you can apply to your life in general. So yes, thank you so much for being with us again this week. And Lital, thank you, and have a beautiful week.
Thank you so much, Caroline.
Bye.
Bye.